Hey everyone, John Gillie here with TruckTractorTrailer.com. Thank you for tuning into our podcast that educates our trucking community with experts providing real life insights to help you run your business, navigate your professional journey, or simply spark a new idea. Today I'm joined by Jared Kugel, founder and CEO of TireAgent.com. TireAgent.com is a leading online tire retailer, recognized by 5,000 as one of the fastest growing companies in America. Since 2020, TireAgent.com has sold over 2 million tires and is redefining affordability for everyday Americans and small business owners. I feel fortunate to have Jared with us today to share his unique perspective on recruiting top talent, sacrificing short-term comforts for long-term success, and obsessing over the customer experience. Also, to share some insights on his remarkable journey, both successes and failures, building TireAgent.com. Hey, Jared, how are you, my friend?
Great, man. Great. I love the intro. Love the music. Man, you're like my hype man.
Well, we're hoping to be, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and hopefully a lot more than that going forward. So, hey, it was great spending time with you, Franco, Jess, the entire team at your Hoboken headquarters last month.
Oh, thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. I couldn't believe how close you were to our office. That was wild.
Yeah, it's like a 15-minute commute of walking, which was great. So I get my steps and it's no traffic to get to your place.
Man, this meeting was meant to happen.
It was. So really at a high level, I know we talk about, we have a lot of shared philosophies and methodologies and different frameworks, you building Tire Agent, me building TruckTractorTrailer.com. But at the high, really, why is buying tires through Tire Agent the best choice, the best deal?
Well, I think every retailer kind of has their own identity. And I think that's the case in a lot of categories. So what I just tried to do was really be the retailer for the average person. That was my goal starting out. Now, obviously now we've grown a lot. We've been doing this for several years. We have enthusiasts buying from us. We have truck people buying from us. We have commercial truck people. So we've kind of grown to be a little bit more general. But when we started, the focus was mainstream everyday customer. And so because of that, I really honed in on customer service. And I always taught my team to never rush a customer off the phone. It is completely normal to see our customer service agents on the phone for 20, 30 minutes with a customer, which is very unusual today, right? Yeah. When you call places. Sure. But that was just our philosophy, is that a lot of people don't understand tires. It's a very cumbersome and complicated journey for a purchase. Yep. And we just wanted people to have a great experience. So we start out with mainstream and now we've kind of expanded, but I've always held true to the customer service aspect of the business. I made sure, and when I say customer service, I don't mean just talking on the phone. I mean, talking on the phone, purchasing, post-sales support, right? Because anyone can sell a product. It's what you do when the customer needs help. That's the big deal. Yeah.
You're a one-stop resource for that, either consumer or commercial customer. What I love about what you're doing, you're basically trying to replicate in the cloud what happens every day in brick and mortar and on the ground.
Yes, but we go one step further than that. So we also looked at the different value props that resonated with certain types of customers, right? Yeah. So it could be selection, it could be hand holding, because some people just feel overwhelmed. It could be payment options, right? Especially because some parts of the country are just really struggling right now and they need that bridge, right? Yeah. And so then the other aspect is for the people that drive a lot around the country, high mileage is very important, right? So we want to make sure that people are getting the right product for what their needs are. That was the most important thing. So you have some people that focus on content. You have some people that only focus on price. We tried to take the best of both worlds in every aspect of what somebody would experience when going to a brick and mortar and online, and kind of combine the two.
Yeah. What's interesting, and was part of our conversation last week, is, the consumer tire customer is buying a new set of tires once every 3 years. Whereas our commercial market, our community, the truck, tractor, trailer community, our customers are buying tires every 3 months. Tires is right up there as far as top spends. It even grows even more risky and more important when you have multiple units, either a truck or a tractor or a trailer.
Yep.
So what I love about what you do and what you're saying here, your customer experience, because our commercial clients, this is how they make a living. And quite honestly, I think when it comes to the DOT and Department of Transportation inspections and road inspections, they're probably more regulated. I'm not the expert. You're the expert in tires, but I would have to think they're more under the microscope than, let's say, a consumer regarding tires.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about commercial, right, you can do retread, you can do recap, you can do remold, you can do new, you can do, there's a whole bunch of different things. With consumer, you really have new and used. I mean, because a lot of people don't even know about retread for a car tire, and I don't recommend that. That's just my personal opinion. Doesn't mean that like people shouldn't do it. I'm just saying my personal opinion. I would not do it on a car tire.
Right.
Now, when you think, because they're just not designed to be that way. Truck tires, getting retreads is very common, right?
Yeah.
But then also, we look at the price, we look at the payment options, we look at speed of delivery, because if a truck is down, they're not making money.
Right. Yeah.
But if you look at car tires, you get the inspection, but there's very little requirement for the inspection to pass.
Right.
On a truck tire, it is definitely way more scrutinized. But then there's a question of, when you think about the different tires that you can buy in commercial, there is such a thing as cost per mile.
Right.
So you have to take that into consideration. It's even more impactful in commercial because literally you're being paid to drive. Whereas on a consumer side, you're not really getting paid to drive unless you are a limo driver, a cab driver, a delivery driver, right? So the majority of people that buy tires in the country for passenger are not doing cost per mile as like a calculation. But on truck tires, they absolutely should be.
Yeah. Oh, there's no question. Knowing our audience, and we have over 200,000 owner operators, small fleet operators in our community that we are in constant contact with. Believe me, they manage every nickel and dime, especially in this market, in the 2025 market, with their revenue per mile at historic lows. So they're more focused today than ever managing their cost per mile. What I love about Tire Agent, and I think that the huge opportunity and value that we're going to be able to bring together to our community, the trucking community, is, not only the flexibility and payment options, which I think is incredible and so unique. You and I both have some common mutual experts in the commercial tire market that have taught me recently that no one is doing this in this space yet. Now, after this podcast, we're going to give the idea out to many, but I think it comes back to execution. And I can't think of a better company to partner with than Tire Agent.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. I mean, the way I look at it is, when you think about money, you can think about long-term savings or cash flow, right? And in the trucking community, from people I've known, they look at cash flow, because cash flow is so important, because it gets you to your next job. I mean, there's a lot of different benefits for it. If you're a huge company, your priorities may be, saving long-term, but not everyone has that luxury. Right. And I just wanted to make sure that we built a model that works for both parties, right? And then it's up to the customer on what works for them and their priorities. Me personally, I never drove a tractor trailer before, but I can tell you, from a person who started this business, I was a struggling entrepreneur. Yeah. And to get out of being struggling entrepreneur, I really looked at cash flow, because cash flow for me as an individual, when I was really struggling, is what got me out of it. Now, I'm not saying I recommend that for other people, but for me, being in that position, I cared about, could I make it to my next meal? Could I make it to my next meeting? And so whenever I was doing stuff, that's why I happen to have used, financing for certain things. Everyone has to make the decision what's right for them. But I think about small businesses, owner operators, we give them the flexibility of choice. And that's why we kind of created this almost similar to like a marketplace kind of payment options.
There's no question. And let's let's call owner operators fellow entrepreneurs.
100%.
They're running their business, and sometimes a family business, and some of them live on the road, and they're really good at it. I mean, it's one of the things that I admire most about our trucking community is after meeting thousands of owner operators, either through OOIDA or at the Mid-Atlantic Trucking Show, or just all the shows and truck stops that we hang out in, right? Is how really great entrepreneurs these people are. Talk about managing cash. You and I think we do a good job. The owner operator, if they're in business today and have been in business 30 years, they'll be in the they should be in the Entrepreneurs Hall of Fame, because just to have to endure what they go through on the road running their commercial business is just remarkable. So thanks for
the trucking community. The trucking community is like one of the core foundational pieces of America. I mean, we don't have anything if we don't have the trucking community, right? They take it from point A to point B.
No, absolutely. They run America. And the thing that what you and I talked about, as I get into the tire business, right? Because we're here talking about tire agent, talking about you and your journey. But, the trucking community spends $30 billion a year on tires. Is absolutely enormous, right? Essentially, what brought us together is to help solve that problem. How do we bring value and help to relieve some stress and help the owner operator or small fleet manage this part of this critical and important part of their business, not just for road safety and lowering the cost per mile, but also cash flow wise. How do we do that? We don't have to go deep into that today.
Yep.
But let's just agree there's a huge opportunity.
100%. 100%. And honestly, it's a true pleasure to be working with you, because we both share the same vision. We both want to help the community, and I think we're going to do it. We're going to do it very successfully.
There's no question. Listen, all we have to do is win, right? It's the law of big numbers. All we have to do is win 1%, 2% of the aggregate market, and we have a real business.
Yep.
And then from there we can build on. I want to take a step change. And I want to ask you, Jared, because we're both fellow entrepreneurs. You are a lifelong entrepreneur. Getting to know you, I was kind of late to the game. I had a long corporate career, and then I sort of, you'll appreciate this, I lost my mind and became an entrepreneur, and which is not for everyone. But what I love about your journey is perseverance, is the understanding that you can't do it on your own, right? Also, as the CEO founder, I think you and I started to talk about this a couple of weeks ago. We're only as good as the 5 people we surround ourselves with. And from my perspective, it allows me to work on the business, not in the business. And not to say I'm not fixated or obsessed about the details. I am. But at the end of the day, to really grow and make more money for the business, and only then can you be a good thing for your employees and your customers, because you have to be growing and making money. And the only way you can do that is if you're working on your business and not being in the business. What do you think about that?
I'm torn. Well, for one, thank you for calling me a lifelong entrepreneur. I definitely don't think of myself as that at all. I think I did it out of necessity, not really out of wanting. Mm-hmm. Just because I didn't really have many options at that time in my life, and I just needed to kind of get myself out of it and create a pathway for me. But so here's the way I kind of look at it. I'm very in the weeds, but I'm also the visionary. And the reason is because our industry is so nuanced that there's just not many people that truly understand the multifaceted approach that's needed in this industry. Thankfully, I've gotten to learn a lot over the last 20 years I've been in the space. So what I do is with certain, you met Franco, who's on our tech side, you met Jesse, who's on our marketing side, right? And so those departments I have very little to do with. We talk high level, we talk strategy, but I'm not a micromanager when it comes to those spaces, because I know when I'm a specialist at and when I'm not. When it comes to customer service, logistics, tire knowledge, user experience, customer overall experience, that's my specialty, right? And that's where I'm not going to say I'm a micromanager because I'm not, but that's where I at least am a lot more of a participant, and I'm very active. And I think about things a lot of people don't think about things. One, because I probably have OCD undiagnosed, but the second thing is I really hone in on the details. And in our business, you really have to, because the slightest mistake can really be a big difference in a purchase. And so in those departments, I'm very active. But I agree with you. I mean, you got to bring in the right people that you can trust, that you could say, hey, look, I don't have to be as involved as much anymore, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm not a micromanager, but what we do is every week we have meetings with every department. And I also, in my downtime, I start scoping through the different departments to see if anybody's missed anything, just to make sure that I've thought about things. And also that's my way of staying fresh.
Right.
So I agree with you, like in a general scope, but I kind of am a hybrid between the opposite approach as well. And I do a balance.
Right. What's interesting about this conversation and our prior conversations is that we often talk about the customer, we talk about our team, and we don't talk about, hey, we're in the e-commerce world. We're building something in the cloud and trying to replicate something that happens on the ground every day. It's very fascinating to me that I was on podcast 7 or 8 years ago, and or even recently as 3 or 4 years ago, let's say before COVID, and all the questions were about, and the topic was about e-commerce and online versus traditional. It's really fascinating to me that we have built these online platforms and have really accelerated post-COVID. I have this philosophy that COVID, although horrendous and did a lot of damage, of course, physically and psychologically to folks, it in some ways accelerated e-commerce because people were forced to develop a comfort level of buying toilet paper online, socializing online, doing Zoom calls with family and friends, right? Yep. To stay connected. All of a sudden now we emerge after COVID, whereas maybe before COVID, we were helping educate people on how to use and leverage e-com or online. Another thing we haven't even talked about is AI, and how AI is only going to help us enhance the customer journey, the customer experience.
Yeah, my take on AI is probably much different than most people. So we'll dive into that, but I want to first approach the first part, which is COVID definitely accelerated stuff. Now, what COVID really did was it gave businesses one of two options. Mm-hmm. You either can scale really quick, whether it's personnel, whether it's innovation, whether it's customers and online, or it made you go backwards. Because some people with COVID just never got out of their own way. So what you said was, yeah, of course, COVID had a devastating effect on the country, for sure. But it pushed people to think outside the box on how to bring in that customer that would not normally shop online, right? Yeah. So innovation-wise, I think we accelerated a lot. Now, with AI, there's good and bad. You have a lot of people that are in this AI race, and they say, we want to integrate AI into our website and user experience and all this stuff. The problem is it's still very early. Yeah. And although the advancements are incredible, and whether you use ChatGPT or you use Gemini or Grok or whatever it may be, we're still ways away from that replacing a customer service person. Now, you can do things like a co-pilot where like it's helping the agent solve the problems quicker. I personally use AI for training. We think it's a great training tool. We use it to replicate a customer and replicate easy customers, difficult customers, customers of all different types. And so that aspect, it's great for training for our customer service people because they're getting a lot of reps in and understanding how to solve problems. So in that aspect, fully bought into it. I'm not bought into completely replacing customer service agents because there's still a gap in communication. Yeah. And am I completely opposed to it? No. I'm opposed to it right now because I just don't think we're there. So if we could ever get to the point of being there, I'm totally open. I don't think it replaces necessarily customer service people. I think it maybe slows down the hiring of new people more than anything else. And I think what it does is it creates a competitive edge, but more importantly, it helps the customer quicker, right? Because now imagine a customer emails and it's like, where is my tracking number? Or how do I do a return? That stuff is perfectly fine with using automation.
Right.
But I'm not in the boat of let's get AI to sell tires to a person and do a consultative approach, or let's have AI work with a customer that's agitated. No, I mean, at the end of the day, we're businesses, and businesses are built on relationships and rapport. So I just haven't seen that yet that can replicate that.
Right.
And I just think companies that are running too quick to put a bot or an AI agent in its place without fully understanding the ramifications of it, I think is dangerous. But more importantly, and I'll end it on this note, which is a customer wants to be helped, right? How we help them probably doesn't matter as long as they get the answer and the resolution that they need.
Right.
So at the end of the day, I'm going to do what's best for the customer, because customer service means a lot to me, and making sure the customer feels heard means a lot to me. When that day comes that I could be proven wrong, I am all happy. I am so happy to say I'm bought in. But right now I'm not, because I put the customer first.
Yeah. And thank you. I agree with that. I look at it as we're already using AI. AI is not, it's the new headline, but it's not new. We have, if somebody hits and visits trucktractortrailer.com, we already have entry level AI built in through Zendesk and other e-commerce tools, right? And it's cheap and cheerful. But it's really to prompt a conversation with a live person. Where we like AI is to handle some of the tasks that our employees, our human employees, can't do at 3:00 in the morning because they're sleeping, right? So it enables TTT to provide this customer experience 24/7, 7 days a week, in case there is an immediate need or question, or how to register for our site, or how to list a truck for sale, or maybe how to shop for their next tire. So let's agree on that. So,
well, what AI is ultimately going to do in this country is entry level jobs will get to the point of probably getting replaced about a large percentage of the time. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's not always a bad thing, because what it does, it's going to train our people today to start going outside their comfort zone and trying new careers that they wouldn't have tried. Right. Or pushing them forward and using AI to make their skill set that they have better. Right. So like take any job that is not manual labor. Right. That person will now have a 2x output or 5x output, where they would only have a 1x output. So let me rephrase it. I don't think it's going to replace per se jobs, but it'll make the output better. And so if you're not a person that's training yourself in how to use AI, you will be replaced by somebody who will use AI.
Right.
So again, I actually phrased it really poorly before. It's not that it's going to replace entry-level jobs, but it's going to make the output of those people more, which will make the competitive market more competitive, because the number of those jobs will be less in there. So it's going to force people to go into a career that they would not normally get into, but that may not be a bad thing. Like in this country, we have a shortage of tradesmen, right? We have a shortage of electricians, plumbers. And is that such a bad thing to get more people into those roles?
No.
I don't necessarily think so. I think we need that in this country, which ultimately helps everyone.
We have 70, and of course in the trucking community, we have a jobs portal, so we get to track the jobs market. One day we're going to have a tire portal, and hopefully supported by Tire Agent. But we get to see the market. There's 70,000 truck technicians openings right now. 70,
oh, that's a great example. Yeah, that's a great example.
70,000. It's absolutely crazy. So I look at let's close it on AI. Let's agree that it's going to augment existing staff. It's going to be a force multiplier for those companies that embrace and leverage AI. and you know this and I know it, and it's part of our value proposition and also our investment thesis, is that everything in the cloud is cheap. Everything on the ground is expensive. And so the more we can leverage the cloud and technology, the better value we can bring to our customer, right?
100%.
Cool. Jared, I know this is the first of many conversations that you and I will have. Give our audience a couple of things to think about before the holiday kicks in. What are some of the big ideas that you have, your team is working on for 2026?
Yeah, well, one thing we are working on is putting together an AI model, not to replace the agent, but to give our customer service agents proper recommendations based on the usage of the vehicle and the tire.
Right.
That we would be able to then recommend stuff based on a whole bunch of features, benefits, and questions. So that's one thing I'm super excited about.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to have a massive impact on people's purchasing because they'll be able to get the product that they feel confident in and lower the buyer's remorse. And then the last thing is we're always fine-tuning our user experience. We always read the feedback from customers. And so we are constantly increasing our selection on our commercial truck tires. We're happy with what we have now. We have a great selection, bigger than a brick and mortar store probably would have, but we want to increase it even more and give people the power of choice.
Excellent. And the big idea for 2026 for TTT is to have a tire partner to go and capture a piece of that enormous market in the commercial tire market.
Very exciting. I can't wait to continue the discussion with you.
All right. Well, Jared, thank you so much for being with me today. Is there anything else that you want to leave our audience with?
No, just can't wait to be a part of the community.
Excellent. Well, you're already a big part of the community. Again, to our TTT trucking community, you can find Jared and his entire tire agent team on tireagent.com or go to LinkedIn. They have a growing presence on LinkedIn, which is, in my regard, undefeated as far as networking. Or you can simply go to trucktractortrailer.com, send me a note, send us a note, and we'll put you in touch with Jared and his terrific tire agent team. Thanks for joining us today. Have fun, make some money, and be safe out there.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Jared.